Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. 10 out of Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. I got a souped up interview for y'all. Go ahead and introduce yourself, big bro.
Hey, yo, what's up, homeboy? Appreciate you having me on. My name is Brian Bruton. Channel used to be called Bounce Back Life After Prison. Changed it up so that I could reach more people than just the prison channel. But let's pop it off, man. What's popping today? What do you want to talk about?
Man, first and foremost, I want to let everybody know before I ever even thought of being on YouTube or anything like that, the very first person I saw speak on prison was you. The very first prison channel, the very first prison stories. Your story, it captivated my attention immediately. It is a crazy story. Much respect to you, though. Much respect. And I gotta salute, bro, because you've kept it real with me since day one. Before I had an Instagram following, before I had anything, you were always busting back messages to me, always communicating, and you even went out of your way to give me advice as someone that was in prison and got out on the street, and I really appreciate that. And man, listen, bro, you're gonna have to tell me about this Florida prison escape story because the fucking place that you escaped at, I hit that compound, you know what I mean? I was at Butler. I was inside of I Block. That's actually where I got cut. That's where the COs flipped me. That's probably the spot I hate the most out of any single prison. It had a demonic vibe the second I got there. The COs, the nurses, all the staff was some of the most evil people I ever met. And I Block, it's bad cells. It was the most realistic prison experience I ever had. Man, tell us about this shit, bro. How the hell did this even come about?
So there's so many ways to approach this story, bro, because there's so many fucking aspects of it, right? But let me take it back to before I got to Lake Butler, the day that I got sentenced, right? The judge looked at me and said, clearly, he said, it's clear to the court that what happened was an accident. Had you went to trial, no criminal jury would have found you guilty. Right there, he just said to me that I'm innocent. And then he said, but because you didn't come and tell us what happened, I'm going to give you 10 years to think about it. And when I heard him say that, even though I knew I was taking a plea deal with the risk of getting some time, right? But when I heard him say, you're innocent, but I'm going to give you 10 years to think about it, my mind clicked right then. And I'm just like, I'm not doing 10 years up in here. Hey, you just told me I'm innocent, fool. And you want me to do 10 years to think about it. That it's illegal what you just told me. So at that point, I started thinking, I'm getting out of here. And this is what I have learned in life, bro, is that whatever you think about and constantly think about it, project, and you tell like yourself and you start projecting those thoughts into the universe, that's what comes back to you. Now, we both know everybody goes to prison is like, I got to get out of here.
Yep.
There ain't nobody that came through that gate that said, oh, yeah, this is straight. I'm going to chill. Even the people that might try to act like they're comfortable, they're chilling. Everybody thinking, if this fucking fence blows down, I'm hitting it.
Gone.
So, but I'm thinking on some other, like another level of if this happens or maybe this happens, I'm thinking, I'm going to make this happen. I'm getting out of here one way or another. And so I ended up at Lake Butler, like you said, man. Now, throughout Florida, I went to 10 different prisons, all the way from the Panhandle. At one of the prisons I was at was a gang disciplinary prison where the life flight landed daily, Taylor Correctional Institution, where the warden came in the dorm one day and he's like, look, if y'all keep landing the life flight up in here, I'm going to keep y'all locked down every day. I mean, it was just purely off the chain mayhem and madness, stabbings, cuttings, robberies, killings. It was madness. But out of all the places that I have been to, there was nothing like Lake Butler, just like you said, the demonic vibe, the just pure hatred. Just, you could see the evil when the officers, even the medical staff, like you said, while I was there was a nurse that had been involved in so many beatings and killings throughout. I think she worked there like 20 something years, bro. She had been involved in so much stuff that at the end of her life, her career, she wrapped her towel around her head in her bathtub, put a shotgun under her neck, and blew her head off. And, you know, we're all speculating, everybody that was there, whatever, like, while I was there, she actually done that. We're all speculating that she just couldn't take it anymore. All the things that she was covering up for, because they would literally bring you while she was working there and beat you to pieces, and she would cover up for it. Never ever say that they were actually beating you. She would actually just heal you up, try, you know, keep you in the infirmary and cover up for them. And right before she killed herself, there was a kid, young Jit, man. You remember how they tell you to walk down the sidewalk, stay on one side, you got to be all in line, no talking. They got a bazillion rules at Lake Butler. And if you step outside of one of them rules, they don't mind jumping on you. So this kid, they called psych meds, you know, before chow, right? Kid's on the opposite side of the sidewalk. He's walking by himself down the sidewalk. Man, we weren't outside, you know, we couldn't hear what they was being said, but you know, it got told back to us, but we actually seen the beating. And so when the kid's walking down the sidewalk, they tell him, "Hey, dumbass," because he's on the wrong side of the sidewalk, right? He looked down and said, "Who you calling a dumbass?" And they said, "You, come here." Man, the kid come over to him and took off on the police and just started firing on him. But the kid was trained, like he knew how to fight. So he's banging their ass, right? So obviously they're hitting the panic button. They're calling for help. Next thing you know, they swarm the kid. They're backing him up, banging him. And then he trips into a ditch. Granted, he triggered some shit, right? But now they've got him cuffed and they're just pounding him. We're looking out the window at this and they're just pounding him and pounding this kid. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna just beat Buddy to death right out here in the field. They took this kid to medical where that lady worked and beat this kid to death. They killed him in the medical. Now, we already seen he was handcuffed. They already took him to medical. He was alive. There was no reason for this kid to die at this point. But my point is that Lake Butler was demonic. It was just evil. It was hatred like nowhere else that I had ever been. And I ended up being a permanent there. And, you know, they always, everybody that comes through, they're like, "Oh, the permanent's got it made. Oh, the permanent's got it sweet. The permanent's got it easy." Listen, man, it's not like that. I mean, in some ways, if you get in the right clique, you know, it is easier being a permanent there. But if you get any of them on your trail, it all goes downhill and it gets bad really fast. So while I was there, I just kept looking and like, where is it weak at? How can I get up out of here? I was like thinking, how can I get over the fence? Which we both know that's not 99.9% of the time. That's not happening. If you do get over the fence, you're not really going to get anywhere. So at one point, my security level worked down. They actually sent me to the work camp, which was still on the compound, but right outside the main unit fence in its own little compound. So I end up over there, right? I'm over here working out every day, trying to keep myself in good shape. That time, dog, for the white guys, you already know, on the compound, most of the white guys aren't in shape like, say, like a lot of the black dudes on the compound, because in Florida prisons is primarily white and black. Then you got Latino dudes, but the dudes that are in shape are always the black dudes. So I just made sure I'm working out all the damn time. I have myself in tip-top shape. So I come in the dorm kind of just being after a workout, playing around, and I come in there and yank my shirt off or something, just playing around, right? You know, dudes in there playing around, goofing off. And the officer that was working the dorm, she started paying attention to me. And I would see her like looking out the window from the officer station, looking over there at me. But I started ignoring her. I'm like, man, I am not going to be like one of these other cats. You already know what time it is. As soon as they start building this little relationship, it's a wrap, man. As soon as the police find out, straight beating, if not killed, transferred, diesel therapy all over the place after you get your beating.
They're gonna get you.
They're gonna get you. And I kept seeing that happen to my homeboys. And I would tell them, man, are you crazy? You already know these people are gonna get you. What are you doing? You can't do it secretively in prison. There's no relationship that you're gonna build with a staff member without a bazillion people watching you. And you know, the reason is because there's not a lot of convicts in Florida prison. A convict, if you're over here stabbing Buddy, if you're over here robbing somebody, if you're over here knocking the police off, you know, you got a female that or a medical staff, convict, he's going to keep walking and mind his business. But the inmates, they're going to be like, oh, what is he doing? You know what I mean? They're going to be way down here at their bunk or their cell, and they're going to be like, oh, what is he doing over there? So it's impossible to do something in secrecy in there. And I always was
A
like,
lot of walking cameras in there.
it's walking cameras. And then they write kites.
Yeah.
Like, oh, buddy's doing blah, 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 and put it in the snitch box. I'm just like, man, I can't, there's no way I'm getting caught up like this, right? So as this is evolving and she keeps paying more and more attention to me and I keep ignoring her and just brushing it off, she finally, like, she comes out of the dorm one day and I'm sitting there talking to some of my homeboys. We're just sitting there bullshitting. And she comes over there and starts making small talk. I'm like, man, like you can see she's directing it at me, right? I'm like, man, I gotta go. I hit it. I leave out of the dorm. So at that over there at the work camp, you could actually get up and go outside of the dorm without them calling rec. You could come and go out of the door. So I'm like, man, I gotta go. I hit it. I go out on the rec field. And she starts talking to my dogs. So like, well, why did he leave? Blah, blah, blah. And then when I come back, they're telling me, man, she was asking about you and shit. I'm like, oh yeah, man. I don't want no part of this. But where she got me at, I was coming back from work one day and she was in the back of the chow hall. And as I'm passing by, she calls my name. You know how they call your last name, right? She's like, hey, Bruton, come here. And I look, I'm like, oh, damn. You can't ignore them. If they call your name, you already know what time it is. You have to come, right? You got to go see what they want. Yeah. So, man, dang, let me go see what this chick wants. So I move on over there. And as soon as I get there, she's like, you want some biscuits? Biscuits? She's standing outside of the chow hall. What the hell do I want some biscuits for? I'm like, no, I don't want any biscuits. Freaking chow hall biscuits. I haven't had enough of them things. I've been locked up for years. You're not fixing to entice me with some biscuits, no. So she's like, they're not chow hall biscuits. They're Hardee's biscuits. I'm like, what'd she just say? I have not had street food in years. You already know street food is like pot of gold up in this piece.
Yeah.
When she gives me this bag of biscuits, I take them and I take off and go to the rec field. I'm like a little kid with a bag of candy. I'm like, ooh, I got me some street food. So I go find my homeboy and we go over here beside them. They had like a restroom outside on the rec field with a wall around it. You could just kind of chill over there where nobody could see you. So we're eating the biscuits, right? And as I'm eating the biscuit, this light bulb clicks on. And I'm like, wait a minute. This lady just gave me some biscuits, potentially risked her entire career. She could get fired for that. And I didn't even ask her. In fact, I'm trying to ignore her. So if she's willing to risk her job without me asking, without me pursuing her, what is she going to do if I start to pay attention? What is she going to do if I start to entertain what she's trying to do? What if I start actually pursuing her? What if I ask her for things? Bro, I tested those waters. And when I tested it, the water was warm, bro. And I was just like, oh, man. At that point, when I seen, like, I started to ask for food. And I just started to ask for just little minor stuff that you're not allowed to have, like lotion or a special type of drink. Bro, there was anything that I would ask for. It didn't matter what it was. She would bring it. In fact, we're building up to how I actually planned to escape. But one day I said, listen, I need you to get not one, but some water bottles, drill a hole, very small hole in the bottom of it. So I don't know if you know, but if you drill a hole in the bottom of a water bottle with a lid that has never been opened, that it takes forever to drain that water out because there's no air. You know what I mean? It's just water trying to drip out a little bit at a time. So I had her drill the hole in there, drain the water out of the water bottles, flip it upside down, put a funnel in there, like a homemade funnel, and refill this shit with vodka. You can imagine one water bottle full of vodka, right? Bro, you remember the lockers at Lake Butler? Under the bunk, right? Just a slide out drawer. Bro, when you would slide my drawer out, massive water bottles in this thing full of vodka.
Damn,
bro. She would put that vodka in there, put hot glue on the bottom of it, and just come right off into work like a bottle of water. So it's a wrap, though. I'm telling you, I have a cell phone. I'm calling her while I'm at work, ordering what I want for dinner. I'm like, hey, cook me this, make me this, bring me that. And then the next thing you know, we're in the bathroom, doing our thing in the bathroom. It was just out of control. And it got to a point where I was like, all right, I know at this point, she has no backup. There's no, I'm not going to do it. She's not pushing the brakes on anything. So we also had a internet connection where I worked at in the maintenance school. And while we're at work, we're over here playing on the computer, me and my co-defendant that escaped with me, and we're actually looking up how to get fake IDs made, how to get birth certificates, how to find what countries do not extradite back to the United States. We're actually looking up all this stuff while we're at work in prison, looking up how to get up out of prison. So we find there was like at that time like 30 something countries that would not extradite back to America. So we come up with the whole list. The closest country that you could go to by land without like going over water was you had to fly to where I live at right now. You had to fly to San Diego, walk across the border into Tijuana, and then from there make your way to Guatemala. If you could have made your way to Guatemala, you'd be like, I'm here, you can't touch me, because they're not extraditing back from Guatemala, right? You could be on video and be like, yeah, I'm over here. They're not going to come get you from over there. So that was the plan, was get these airline tickets, get some fake identification made, get birth certificates, and then make our way to Guatemala. And so she actually brought to work, and like in the bottom of her lunchbox, she would pull like the tray out, and then underneath it, she brought like another shirt. She brought some blue cloth. And when she came to work, we taped up the blue cloth in the bathroom, like a background. And then I put on a different t-shirt. And she actually took pictures of me standing here like I'm taking a ID picture, right?
Yeah.
So then she sends the pictures to these people online to make fake IDs. She had the IDs made, had them sent to her house. She got birth certificates ordered. And then during all of this, we were actually ordering, they were knockoffs, but they were Nokia cell phones. This is like before the iPhone came out. So at that time, the smartphone back then was like a Nokia N90 or some crap, right? We're ordering knockoff Nokias from China and reselling them on eBay here in the States like they were legitimate phones. So we're making a little bit of money. We're like, all right, we got some paper coming in. We got a way to make money no matter where we're at. We got all the birth certificate, the IDs. We got everything in a row. And you know what? Let me back it up a little bit. When I came to her and presented my plan to her, it's like, look, this is what I'm going to do. You're going to bring me a uniform. After we get all this other stuff made, you know, the birth certificate, the ID, the airline tickets, you're going to bring me a police uniform. You're going to pick me up from the maintenance building, and we're going to take off out of here. And you're going to give me a ride. I'm going to meet up with my partner. I'm going to get on the airplane. I'm going to fly to Cali. I'm going to walk across the border. Then in a couple of weeks, you could come and meet me. Bro, when I told her that, this ain't no joke, man. When I told her that, she was sitting in the officer station, and I'm right outside the, the flap. I'm talking through the flap to her, right? She put her head down on the desk, like put her arm down and put her head down and started crying. I'm like, why are you crying? She's like, man, you're going to have me in prison. I'm like, are you crazy? We're not going to be in prison. We're going to be in paradise. We're just going to get up out of here.
Guatemala.
Little did I know. And really, something in the back of my mind was telling me the whole time this wasn't going to work, but I did not care. I was so mad and so focused on what I wanted that I didn't care. And I was ignoring this little thing telling me this is not going to work. I was just like, at this point, I don't give a damn. I'm going to try it, because there is that little slither of a chance that it might work. So I was willing to roll the dice. And when she said that, I was like, nah, we're going to be in paradise. Don't worry about it. It's all going to be good. In fact, if you don't want to help me, don't worry about it. I'm going to go anyways, and then you just won't ever see me again. And I knew once I told her that, she's like, oh, no. I got to make sure I'm going to help you, because I'm coming where you're at. So the plan for her was she was going to wait a couple of weeks, let everything die down, and then she was going to come over there. That really wasn't the plan. That was her plan. Yeah. Obviously, I wasn't going to have her over there with me, but that was her plan, right? Everything is coming together. It's all in order. We get everything made. We get the airline tickets. We come up with the day that we're actually going to leave from our work building, the maintenance building. And that morning, when they were calling me out to work, so at that camp, the way it would work is in the morning they'd call work call. Everybody go line up at the gate. They'd tell you, get your IDs out. They'd start calling squads, and on the squad they call everybody's name. Well, they called out all the maintenance people, and they didn't call my squad. We had like 5 guys that worked for us, and they didn't call us. My boss didn't show up to work. I'm like, hey, whoa, I got an escape plan right here. Whoa.
Yeah, right. What about me?
I got somewhere to go. I'm headed to another country, man. You got to get me up out of this gate. So I was like, one way or another, I got to get out of here. And like I told you, I just have always had a knack of being able to communicate what I want, being able to talk to people. So as soon as I see my boss wasn't there, I ran over there to the gate and I was like, hey. Got one of the other bosses. I was like, man, listen, I cannot. It was like Thanksgiving weekend. I was like, man, I cannot stay in the compound all weekend. It was going to be a long weekend because of Thanksgiving, right? I was like, man, you got to take me out to work. I need to go with you guys. And it was like, all right, come on. They got my card. It was like, let's go, man. And they took me, and we went out there, and we get to work. Actually, when I go to call her, things started to fall apart. Number one, my boss didn't show up. Number two, when I get to work and try to get on the cell phone to call her to be like, hey, come and drop the uniform, my phone battery's dead. I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm scrambling around trying to charge my phone all during this time. You know, you got a cell phone, you're trying to charge it, you're at work, there's cops, there's civilians. You can't be doing this just out in the open. It ain't like that. So you're trying to hide that, trying to sneak around, and still trying to make this plan work. So finally I get the phone charged. I'm like, all right, listen, this is what you need to do. Make sure you come right now. Coast is clear. I already checked everything out. So she comes, she drops off the uniform. And what it is there's a recycle pile that's in between like the main unit of Lake Butler and in between the west unit. It's like in between that expanse of land, right? So she comes and drops off the uniforms. And she actually drove a white Expedition that day. She borrowed it from someone because it just looked like one of the perimeter vehicles that were riding around the compound, right? So she dumps it, and me and my partner that escaped, we go out there, we get the uniform, we're laying down, getting dressed. We're in like this recycled trash pile. We get dressed, put the uniform on, and because it was like around Thanksgiving, November, it was cold outside. So when she brought the uniform, she'd got us a big, you know, the jackets they wear with like the fur on them, the real big jacket. That's what we had, the big thick jacket. We had the hat, we had the BDUs. We just kept the whole uniform.
What is the feeling and emotions just going on in your mind and body right now, like as you're putting this stuff on? Like, what are you feeling?
When I'm putting this on, I still feel like I'm a prisoner, 100%. Even though I'm putting these street clothes on, well, police clothes, right? I still feel like a prisoner. But once I get all those clothes on and I come up out of that pile, I had sunglasses on, I had a hat pulled down real far, and I come up out of the pile and I kind of like peep around to see if anybody seen me. Ain't nobody seen me. Immediately, I start to just feel with like just pure happiness. I'm like, oh, I'm about to get away with this. I mean, I was excited, but I'm having to hide this excitement. You can't be out here acting all crazy. You can't be jumping up and down like, hey, I'm free, right? So, I mean, I was excited like no other excitement I have ever felt. However, when we do get up out of this pile, we got to make it from the pile to where her vehicle is. And in between the two, there's two officers standing there talking.